Hey
Hello.
everybody, welcome back to Lunch Hour VR. I know it's been a couple of weeks, apologies for that. But we are back. I'm here with my co-worker, co-host Edwin Rogers, you all know him, and a very special guest today, Espii. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's awesome to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So where in the world is everybody? I last time we all spoke, I think I was in Mexico City, and I'm finally back in the United States for the first time in I think 9 months. So I'm in the middle of the forest in Pennsylvania, just vibing with the river and the trees and feeling really happy to be here. So that's where I am. Edwin?
So dope. Yeah, no, I'm still in the United States, but Hawaii, which is part of the United States.
And I am in Brooklyn, New York.
Woo!
Brooklyn. Love Brooklyn. So, Espii, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure thing. So, my name is Sadah SV Proctor, pronoun she, her, hers, preferred name Espii. I am a sound designer and a media artist, XR director that works in live performance and immersive storytelling. Much of my work revolves around social issues, stories of women, tales within the African diaspora, and often with the Afrofuturist or cyberpunk aesthetic and lens. I have been working in XR for the last 5 years and continuing to find ways to experiment with presence and embodiment inside virtual spaces, as well as being able to have a heightened sense of magic and wonder in these virtual spaces, and also where they intersect in physical spaces.
I love what you
Awesome.
say about magic and wonder. That that really just like filled my heart with magic and wonder. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the projects that you've worked on in the past, and then afterwards we'll sort of flash forward to the present.
Sure thing. So within XR, my first big project was through the Oculus VR for Good Creators Lab, where I collaborated with Malala Fund and Milan Foundation on a story about girls' education. This story, the documentary Girl Icon, features, at that time, 17-year-old Rani Kanauja and her journey in getting an education in Varanasi, India. The film also highlights the support that she had received from her family, the Girl Icon Fellowship, which the film was named after, and also her school and tutoring experiences that she was taking part in. The film brings the audience in a third person perspective and allows and gives space for Rani as the protagonist of her own tale to be able to share her experience, and for the audience to be a companion for all of these different journeys. The film also uses split screen to create what I had nicknamed mindscapes, which are montages of visuals and sound to create a more abstract feeling and emotion, as well as a transition from place A to place B. Aside from that, I also worked on sound design for Finding Pandora X, which is directed by Kira Benzing as part of Double I Studios. The production is based on Greek mythology, and involves the chorus on Mount Olympus and working with the gods in regards to finding Pandora's box. It is a live virtual reality theater experience. The audience is brought in as part of the Greek chorus, and yes, the production is always experienced live. The piece debuted at Venice Film Festival and took away the Golden Lion for SVR Immersive Experience, and recently won the Audience Award at South by Southwest. So it was also a wonderful time doing sound design for that experience as well. Outside of that, I continue to collaborate with musicians, solo artists, theater makers, dancers on visuals for live performance. So there's a variety of artists that I work with on projection mapping, music videos, concept videos, and also how to and also virtual performances in the sense of working with Zoom. So things like what virtual cinematography could look like to what the art direction could be, and sound design, continuing for these type of experiences, as well as audio focused dramas.
That's amazing.
Yeah, lot of really beautiful stuff going on. I've heard incredible things about Girl Icon Finding Pandora X. I think that was, I saw that was at South by recently, and congratulations on the awards won there. I'd love to play a clip of Girl Icon, the trailer, and show the audience a little bit about what that's about, and then you can tell us a little bit more about what we're seeing there.
Sure thing. Thank you.
Being a girl is difficult. First, we must face our family, then we have to face society and everyone around us. I want to become an army officer. I will show other girls that if I can take on such a demanding job, they can stand on their own feet too. After I came back from my training, I realized that I have to change my own thinking first. Then my family will change. Then society will change.
I used to wait to be an adult to lead. But I have learned that even a child's voice can be heard across the world.
My neighbor's daughters say, "We will also go with you, Rani Didi. We will study like you so that we can also stand on our own feet." My name is Rani.
Beautiful. So, okay, well, just tell us a little bit about what we saw in the film, and then I'll ask you a question.
Yeah, also we have a shout out.
Oh, hi, Elena. Thank you so much. Always forget people are tuning in. Thank you. Yeah. So as was mentioned, this was part of the VR for Good Creators Lab, and it was important to us how to frame perspective in this piece. One of the challenges that I find working in VR, especially for projects that are around social issues, is how an audience, when we talk about like embodiment and presence, how an audience comes into a space and how they interact with that space and how they leave that space. And I feel that it's so crucial, especially when telling stories involving BIPOC folks, that there is a bit of removal from a self-embodied experience, so that the subject of the story can really stand in their own truth and be able to share that experience. And rather than having people be Ronnie for that experience, we thought it was very important for people to hear and see her as she's sharing these experiences. It was also very important for Ronnie as she was taking us to all of these places, that she was very proud of all the different communities that supported her in getting an education and going after her goals and dreams, and that it was different than what a stereotypical documentary out of India could look like. She can, in terms of the circumstances that had her supported, she felt she was aware of how lucky and how wonderful it was to have that kind of support, and knowing that not all girls receive that support. And so it was, in shaping the film, we wanted to show Ronnie, being proud of all of the different ways that she was supporting getting an education, and also how she, how she ended up going to school in the first place, and how she was giving back to her community, especially with tutoring the girls that lived in her village. And that, a takeaway that people could think of is how, what are the ways that girls can feel supported to be able to get an education. Part of that is institutional. Part of that is by society in terms of laws or codes. Also, like her coming from the washerman caste as well. These things are included in society in all these different places around the world. It's also thinking about how each person can support another person, and how she was able to receive support from other women and girls, and how she was able to continue to pass that down. And so understanding that that's also an important part of the process in how to support girls getting an education. And that's something that is not country specific. Girls' education around the world and the issues that girls face around the world manifests itself differently depending on where you're from. But it is not a regional issue. It's not a global South issue. It is a worldwide issue. And it's important for people, just as they see Ronnie being supported and in supporting others in return, that they can also reflect on how that works in their own spaces and be able to take action in that way.
What was the length of the project, and how long did it take to shoot? Can you tell us a little bit about the behind the scenes?
Yes, so we went to India for 2 weeks. We had the length of the piece itself is 8 minutes long, 6.5 without credits. But there's a nice little gem if you stay until the very end. Kind of fought to keep that in there, but we spent 2 weeks, and we had to go between 2 locations. So the first location was where the Girl Icon Fellowship program is taking place at a school outside of Lucknow in Sitapur, and then the other where Ronnie is from, Varanasi. So we had to spend about 2-3 days at the school where she and the other girls were taking part in the workshop, as you can see, with some of them drawing or playing on the river, and then moving to where she went to school and going to spaces that had her community, her village, her school, and as well as any extracurricular activities that she took part of.
Awesome.
Very cool. Well, thanks for sharing all that. Where can we find this film? Is it available for us to watch somewhere?
Yes. If you go to the Oculus TV if you have a Quest, you can access it there. You can also access the film on my Vimeo page, which is linked on my website. But obviously it will be in browser and you'll have to do a bit of clicking and dragging, but it's also there for people to see.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Definitely want to check that out. So, yeah, can you tell us a little bit about some other projects that you're working on? It sounds all fascinating. Really, intrigued by the also the theater elements. I've done several, usually like 360s from Broadway shows, but live theater performances. I would definitely like to know a little bit more about how you guys achieve that, and tell me a little bit more about that project or any others that you want to speak on.
Sure. So in terms of theater and virtual, first thing, theater and virtual reality. So Finding Pandora X was my first theatrical experience in VR. And then after that, I also had the chance to direct a play series called Black Imagination, which was produced by Crux. And so they brought together myself as well as 5 playwrights and a group of actors that I cast. And we were able to, within AltSpace VR, create a world where all of these stories could coexist and be able to have an audience come and tune in. The response was very positive. I was able to find community within AltSpace that were able to come out and support the project, and also like look forward to any additional projects that might come out. I am between Finding Pandora X and working on Black Imagination, and also attending Burning Man in VR. So that was also a very eye-opening experience. I'm interested in how these theatrical experiences can play out in these social VR platforms where there is a sense of being able to gather. This is very different than working on Girl Icon, which we, in filming and editing, we took the perspective and philosophy of an audience of one, understanding that only one person would be able to view it at a time. And so rather than creating something that makes you feel like you should be experiencing this with other people or feeling like there's an empty space, focusing on creating an intimate experience, focusing on creating an intimate experience so that in order to share that experience of watching Girl Icon, you can tell a friend or see where it's posted, or encourage other people to check it out, or other people to look at Milan Foundation and Malala Fund and support those organizations.
Beautiful. I wanted to quickly do a note to the audience in case you're new to the show or maybe you forgot. I just wanted to let you know that if you do put a comment in, YouTube or LinkedIn or wherever you're tuning in from, we will be able to see it and pop it on up and, address any questions or comments that you may have. So quick side note. And Espii, could you tell us a little bit about, I know that you've been working on some visual creation recently. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So as was mentioned before, I collaborate with musicians, theater, dance folks on visuals for live performance. There's also being able to creating music videos as well as creating visualizers. And so the next visual that you'll see is part of an ongoing collaboration with the record label Art 21 Club, which is based in Spain. It's an independent electronic music label, and so they have a roster of music artists as well as visual artists like myself. And for each release that we have, we all work together to create visuals and music tracks for people to enjoy.
Perfect. So, and just to be clear, is this the purple one or the bluish one?
So they're both from Art 21 Club. So.
Got it. All right. So I'll play this one. I did not want to stop that, but I got so lost in that. Like, you did an amazing job just totally like trancing us out.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. It was like otherworldly.
Thank you. So that particular video was in collaboration with the artist D Triangle, and the name of the song is Entrance to Exit. And so I was thinking about like literally places of the points of inception, and then being able to like traverse through space and like getting into a deeper place, and also knowing that like it's a very cyclical journey out there. Yeah. And so throughout the visual, you'll see it's almost like warping from location to location.
It was really, really cool, very cosmic. What is your sort of process? You just talked about sort of some of the ideas that you were thinking of, but yeah, what's sort of the process that you take to develop what visuals you pair with audio?
So sometimes I will look at not sometimes. I'll look at the song title as well, and see if there's any kind of themes that can be pulled. Sometimes if it's part of a compilation, looking at any kind of themes that the music pieces share. I'll also think a lot about colors, shapes, textures, as it can relate to tempo. And I think about visuals like, especially more abstract visuals, I think about them almost like a paintbrush. You know, if you watch a dancer perform, because I used to dance. If you watch a dancer perform, you can see the music being scored through their body because they'll accentuate certain elements of it, and so you fall in a trance because there are certain through lines that you're following, which then connect to different through lines. And so for visuals, I see it in a similar way that, based on a couple of different combinations, you can be able to latch on or connect to certain parts of the music and be able to go on a journey like that.
That's awesome. Sounds very well thought out. And now I'm thinking of dancers, and it makes a lot of sense. So I'll play the second one now because I definitely would love some more of that.
Definitely.
Was that a photograph towards the beginning where I saw like some trees and water, I think?
It was just a visual of like trees and water, like on a lake, and then being able to mix things in there. I play around a lot with collages and being able to mix and match and cut up different things. I can share so our 21 Club continues to release vinyl. All of the records are released on vinyl, and then we have the music visuals online for people to see. So we have an upcoming one called Neuro Twin that will be out later the top of the summer. So excited to mix some more visuals with that.
Beautiful. And what are the main softwares and tools that you use to create these?
So I use Max MSP. I use Resolume. I'll also use Mad Mapper. Even though I'm not like projection mapping per se, but being able to still cut up and use pieces of that. And also I play heavily with compositing and video editing. My editor of choice is Resolve, but I also have Premiere to use as well.
Yeah, just getting
awesome.
into
And we're
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Max, you were saying?
Sorry, my connection just got wonky.
Oh, no worries.
Sorry, I'm back.
No, it's okay.
I'm back. But I was gonna say that we're almost out of time, and these things always go so quickly, and I've been really, really, really enjoying it. I wanted to ask you, do you have any advice for people who might be interested in getting into XR direction and or sound design, and sort of, any tips that you may have for getting started?
Definitely. I would say if you're getting into sound design, especially in XR, aside from like learning different tools like Pro Tools or any other kind of audio editing, I would also encourage people to take sound walks and to try to have a fixed perspective in terms of where your head and your body are positioned, but start to map out, like either with your eyes or just listening intently on how things are arranged in space. I think beyond like learning technical tools, spatial audio it's very important to have an understanding of how you relate to sound in physical spaces, and what your physical relationship is to sound in these spaces, whether it's something that is a more organic or a produced sound. So definitely take a look outside and literally observe and pay attention to the surroundings. And then for XR, I know when I started, things were very different. Hackathons were very helpful. Going to conferences and meeting people were also helpful. It seems like there's more opportunities for people to work and, collaborate with other companies or find internships. But it's very useful to just kind of find spaces where you can just cut and dry sketch something very messy. And give yourself permission to sketch something messy, and be able to continue to iterate in that way, so that when you are collaborating with other people, that something new can present itself.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for that advice. It was really, really helpful, and I'm sure that anyone watching this will be happy to follow your wise words. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but I would love to encourage anybody in the audience to give Espii a follow. Her Twitter handle is @LadyEspii. You can also find her on Instagram at Espii Studios. And if you'd like to find links and learn more about all of the work that she's doing, you can head to her website, www.sadahespeiproctor.com. And lastly, quick self-promotion. I wanted to say thank you to Rachel Bracker, who is our brand new patron, and anyone who likes the show and wants to help us keep it going. You can head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/MaxNoir. It would be greatly appreciated, and we'll give you a shout out. Thank you so much, Espii. It's been really, really, really a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do in the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Max. Thank you, Edwin, for having me. It's much appreciated.
It's a pleasure.
Absolutely.
A pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.